Hello and welcome learners. My name is Sukriti and I am a business analyst, an MBA from IIM Ahmedabad, and today I will be taking you through our learning module on Basic English for Everyday Working. What is Basic English? Basic English skills mean the fundamental abilities that are required to understand and to use English language effectively in daily life and in workplace communication and conversations. This implies four aspects, that is listening, speaking, reading and writing. Listening means that you should be able to understand what are the instructions or conversations that are being done with you at a workplace. Second, speaking means that you should have enough command on the language that you are able to share your ideas, thoughts and opinions clearly with your colleagues, supervisors or with your clients. Then writing means that you should be able to create simple messages, reports or applications or letters which will be used to convey information to many people in your organization or outside of your organization. And lastly, reading, which means that when you are reading any form of communication, like if an email is being sent to you or to your team, or there is a new notice on the notice board, you should be able to understand what that notice says and what is the meaning of it and be able to comprehend that properly. Basic English skills allow smooth sharing of ideas between people of a team or people outside of your organization, therefore building a successful workplace. Need of basic English skills at work are many. Let us understand 6 of them. Firstly, it is very important to facilitate proper communication so that you can speak clearly with your team members, with your customers or clients or even patients, with your supervisors or subordinates, etc. Second, you should be able to have enough skills to follow proper documentation skills. That means, for example, if a meeting is happening and you attended, you should be able to document the meeting in minutes of meeting later on, or you are able to write a report or say, for example, a patient's case history. These documents are important to be maintained in an organization as they provide information to other people who will be referring to them later. Thirdly, having basic skills of English are important to understand terminology at the workplace, so that when people are speaking and refer to common workplace terms and words, you understand what is it that they are trying to say and mean. Fourthly, having these basic skills is important to be able to do supervision and to follow up, so that you can ask for updates, you can give instructions, you can confirm the task or what are the activities that are required out of you, you can understand your job responsibilities properly and also convey how you are performing those job responsibilities to your other team members or supervisor. Fifth, it allows you to have good interpersonal skills, as in a team you will be working with many people from different cultures or backgrounds, and you should be able to communicate with them so that you can form a bond with them and also communicate ideas properly, which can ensure work happens smoothly. And lastly, sixth, it provides good career growth. Having good English skills often leads to better jobs and promotions, as you will be able to understand communication and instructions so that you can perform your job better also. These skills are also very important when you land a managerial role. In fact, they become even more important as a manager. Why? Because of 3 main reasons. First, because people skills are important. People skills cannot be developed without basic English skills, because you need to communicate instructions clearly. You have to coordinate with multiple people and multiple departments or teams as a manager, which you cannot do without having good English skills. Second is evaluation. As a manager, you will have to handle or in fact lead certain meetings or presentations. You will have to write reports or even write evaluations or performance reports of your team members or your subordinates, which will guide their evaluation and career trajectory. You cannot do these things without getting a good grasp on English. And lastly, for leadership skills, having a good communication allows you to build confidence and leadership presence, and you can also properly guide your subordinates, which inspires their trust and confidence in you. Therefore, it's very important to master these skills. So, let us deep dive into learning about these English skills and start with the foundations of grammar. These are the basic rules of how a sentence is formed, what are the tenses, what are the words, how they are used in a sentence, etc. These rules of grammar help us to speak and write correctly, therefore avoiding misunderstandings and any communication in a workplace setting. The first part to learn in foundations of grammar is parts of speech. There are various groups or categories in which a word can be divided based on what is the function of the word in a sentence. These various categories or groups in which a word can go are called as parts of speech, and they form the rules of language. We understand that all of these are universal rules. That means these are all the same rules everywhere for anyone who is speaking English. Therefore, when we master these parts of speech and understand it properly, we will know what is the function and place of a word. Therefore, we can use the words correctly. And like we said, these are universal rules. That means when we speak, others will understand the same thing. So, this ensures that everyone is on the same page in understanding. There are 8 parts of speech or 8 categories of words. Let us quickly go over them. First is noun. Any name of a person, place or thing is called as a noun. For example, an office, laptop, employee, these are all nouns. Knowing what is a proper noun is important because it helps us to identify who are the people, what are the tasks, what are the tools or places that people in our workplace are talking about. Like if someone says you have to meet in this conference room, you understand that that is a place where you have to go and report. Second, we have verb. An action word is called a verb, such as complete, send or discuss. Knowing these action words is very important for giving the proper updates and clear instructions. For example, you as a manager may say to your subordinate that send this email. So, the subordinate understands that what are they supposed to do or what action are they supposed to take. Third, we have adjectives, which are words that describe a noun, like urgent email. In this, email is the noun, whereas urgent is the adjective. Knowing right adjectives is important as it helps us to describe the quality, urgency or detail properly. Therefore, tells us what is the expectation that is needed out of a task. For example, a manager may tell you that he needs a report versus the manager says he needs a detailed long report. Now in this, we see that when the word of detail, that is the adjective, is added, there is better understanding of what is required out of us and what the manager wants. Therefore, we will be able to perform the task much better. Fourth, we have adverbs. Just like adjectives describe noun, adverbs describe verbs. For example, work quickly. Here, quickly is the adverb, whereas work is the verb. It shows how the work is supposed to be done and is useful for giving feedback and proper instructions. For example, you may have given a response to a patient or talked to a patient. Later, your manager tells you that you must talk politely. That means that you get the feedback that the verb you were doing, that is talking, you need to do it more politely. Understanding this will help you to become better at your work. Fifth, we have pronouns. These are the words that are used in place of a noun, such as he, she, they, it, etc. Using this instead of using the noun again and again makes the sentence shorter and more natural and how communication flows. It also provides clarity when you are referring to the colleagues. For example, you may be saying that he did it or she did it or let us do it. Here the pronouns help to define who you are talking about. Sixth, we have prepositions, which are the words that show relations. For example, on the desk. Here, on is the preposition. This provides information about what is it that you are talking about, therefore preventing misunderstanding in giving any instruction or in scheduling. These are important for giving correct details. For example, you may say there is a meeting happening or instead you say there is a meeting happening in room 2. So here you get better detail about where is the meeting happening. It gives better information. Therefore, prepositions are important. 7, we have conjunctions, which are the words that are used to join 2 or more words like and, but, because, etc. It connects the idea smoothly and helps to explain the reasons professionally. For example, think that your manager says, just change this report again, versus they say that just change this report again because the file from where you took numbers has been updated. In the second example, a conjunction of because was used, and it gives you better understanding of why your manager needs you to do the task again, because the file has been updated. So it gives you better reasons and it explains the idea of why the manager needs the task done again, which will help you to do the work better. And 8, we have interjections, which are words that express emotions like great, yes, yay, etc. These words help to express reactions very quickly and build a human and friendly communication between people. Like if you have done some work, like let's say in a hospital visit, you took the blood pressure of a patient and it was the first time you were taking blood pressure of the patient, and your senior sees this and says, great. That gives you quick feedback and boosts your confidence. Then we have tenses. There are 3 tenses: present, past and future. Present tense talks about now and is used to talk about the daily routines or general truths. Past tense talks about earlier times. So you can use it to refer to tasks that you have already completed, maybe some past work experience you have, maybe an earlier job you was to work in, etc. And future tense talks about later time that has not happened yet. So you can use it to talk about upcoming activities that you may have planned, or maybe even your long-term career paths. Let's look at some examples of sentences of these 3 tenses. So in present tense you can say, I work in the accounts department. This is a general truth. Or saying she attends client calls at 11 a.m. This is telling you about daily routine. For past tense you have, I submitted the report yesterday, or they completed the project last week. Or you can even say, I used to work in another hospital before this. So this talks about your earlier work experience. Future tense is, I will join the meeting at 3 a.m. or we will send the proposal tomorrow. So this talks about things that you will do later on. The third part we have about learning about grammar are direct and indirect forms of speech. What does this mean? Direct speech means when you are quoting the exact words of a speaker. So you are telling that someone said something and you are using the exact words. This helps you to report exact instructions that were taken from managers, or maybe exact words that were said about a diagnosis by a patient. These avoid miscommunication in tasks and they provide precise and correct wording. These are also helpful during presentations or conferences or trainings when you can quote someone directly. Contrast to that, indirect speech means reporting what someone has said. Here you can use your own words, keeping the main idea of what the speaker said same, but you are not saying it word to word as the speaker said. This is often used to provide quick summaries in emails or reports. It makes the communication more formal, and since you are not using word to word repetition, it makes the communication concise also. It is more helpful when you are sharing instructions with a big group. Let us see these some examples. So, when your manager said, finish this today, that is direct speech. Whereas the indirect form of the same thing will be, manager said that we should finish it that day. Client said that I need the file tomorrow, direct speech. Whereas indirect would be, client said that he needed the file the next day. The fourth form of the foundations of grammar are understanding sentence types and what they mean in a workplace setting. We have 4 major sentence types that we will be discussing. Let us go one by one. First are declarative or assertive sentences. These are sentences that give information to the listener or to the reader. and they provide basic knowledge and share simple information without expecting any reply from the listener or the reader. For example, the hospital opens at 9 a.m. This is not expecting any reply from anyone. You are merely sharing a piece of information or a fact with someone, or saying I have completed the task. So, you are sharing this piece of information with your manager and you are informing them or updating them. You are not providing any feedback, any emotion to it, or asking any question. So, these basic sentences are declarative. That means you are declaring some information. Second form of sentences are interrogative, which essentially means asking a question. And therefore, these forms of sentences also seek a reply from someone. So, for example, can you send me the updated file? Your manager says. This is an interrogative sentence. Third are imperative sentences, which are commands or requests given by the speaker or writer, like submit the report by tomorrow. And lastly, we have exclamatory sentences which show a strong emotion and often used to express some excitement or provide feedback, like excellent work by the team. Your manager says after your team has finished a conference. So, this provides good feedback. There are other elements of communication apart from words, such as speaking clearly, having a polite and professional tone, maintaining a positive body language like proper eye contact and an open posture, actively listening, that means listening and understanding before you respond, confirming what you have understood correctly, that means seeking feedback, and also having positive confidence so as to you speak clearly, slowly and properly in the right tone of voice. Now let us come to reading skills. What exactly are reading skills? These are the skills that allow you to understand written information clearly and quickly. So, you must read that piece of text, understand what is the key meaning of that text, identify key information from it, interpret what is the context in which something was written, and evaluate and ultimately use this information. This is important to understand certain pieces of written communication like emails, instructions or reports at your workplace. This is important because you will come across many emails or reports or instructions and you must be able to understand them so that you can provide the quick decisions about it, you get correct information. So, you can take right decisions or act accordingly. This also reduces errors and misunderstandings which may otherwise happen if you do not even understand what is the key intent of the person who has written this, what they are trying to say. For example, if your manager sends you an email and says, please make these changes in the reports and make the language better, you will have to understand that what is it that they mean from this by reading that email. So, you can take proper decisions, make the right changes and send it back without any errors. This also improves your productivity as getting better at reading skills allows you to read things quickly and correctly and makes your communication more professional and allows you to be more confident. Let us look at some strategies in order to read better. These are skimming, scanning, detailed reading, context clues and critical reading. Let us go through them one by one quickly. Skimming means reading something very quickly to understand the main idea. This is useful when you have to read lengthy documents as this allows you to only capture the necessary information in your head and saves your time. So, for this you must read the headings, subheadings, the bold words and the first and last line of paragraph and notice the keywords that are there while in your reading. This is usually used for reading training documents, long research papers or long emails that are sent out. Second is scanning. In this, you scan the entire document to look for specific information like maybe you are looking for a date, a deadline, a name, amount, etc. So, you find that specific information fast so you can act quickly and you do not miss out on instructions or deadlines that your manager is conveying. For example, out of a very big report, you quickly scan it and see where are the figures or where are the meeting times that are mentioned in the entire notice. So, you may have a big circular, but you quickly scan the document to look for the time in it. So, you know this is the meeting time and so that you are not late to it. Third is detailed reading. In this, you spend time reading the document properly to understand its full meaning. This is useful and you should do detailed reading for important documents like contracts or policies so that you can make informed decisions and you know your rights and duties. You must read it line by line while noting down important points and look up anything that you do not understand. Like if there is a difficult word you don't understand, look it up. So, for example, when you are joining a new place, you will have an employment contract. You should do detailed reading of this so that you know what are the terms and conditions under which you are signing that document. You should not do skimming or scanning of such important documents. Fourth, we have getting context clues. That means you do not spend your time stopping at every word you don't know and looking it up. Maybe sometimes you have unfamiliar words in the document you are reading, but you are able to guess its meaning basis on where is it used, what is the surrounding sentence of it, etc. This allows you to read quickly without stopping your reading flow. Usually you should look for clues in the rest of the sentence to understand the meaning of the word and to take away the key message of the entire document. You can have a definition clue like the meeting was mandatory, meaning everyone had to attend. You can have examples, soft skills. Maybe somewhere it is mentioned soft skills, but you do not know what that means. But there are examples that are mentioned in the document, such as teamwork and communication. So you can understand that soft skills have to do with dealing with other people. That means like working in a team or talking to other people. So while you do not know what soft skills means, using examples you have been able to understand. Or you may be able to get a contrast in the sentence, or there may be a synonym or another word that is used which will allow you to understand. Lastly, we have critical reading. That means you are reading with an evaluative mindset to see if the text that you are reading is logical and reliable or not. This ensures that you do not accept misleading or incomplete information and therefore you are able to take proper informed decisions at the workplace. To do critical reading, or that means evaluative reading, you must examine the source of information what you are reading. Like if it is an official policy document, then it is likely to be correct versus if it's some random document you have found online. Check if the claims that are made in the document are supported with data, examples or facts. Look for logical flow. That means if they are saying X leads to Y leads to Z, does it make sense logically? Notice the language and tone. Is the tone neutral or emotional or urgent? And lastly, you must compare anything that you are reading with other information. Like maybe there are policy guidelines or past information that is made so that there is no conflict of information. If there is a conflict, for example, if your supervisor is asking you to do something which conflicts with what the policy of your organization says, you can question it because you have done critical reading and critical understanding of the message. How should you read so that you can understand things better? There is a technique to it. This process involves number one, preview. That means you quickly glance through what are the text heading, what is the length of the text, what is the purpose, etc. For example, if a document is very long, you understand that it will be more detailed and maybe more important to be read carefully then. Second is break and correct. That means break down the entire text into various paragraphs or bullet points or sections and then link it with the past knowledge that you may have about the subject. Whenever you are reading, ask yourself, what do I already know about this topic? And keep that in mind while reading something new. Third is note making. After you have read these various paragraphs that you have broken down, make sure that you write down 2 or 3 important lines that capture the main idea of whatever you have read. And lastly, you must interpret key points. Ask yourself, what is the main idea that the paragraph is trying to convey? You can also summarize things, that means put it in your own words, which will help you to retain information longer and review once again to check if you have understood everything correctly. Next part we have is about interpreting documents. What does interpretation mean? It means understanding the actual real purpose behind whatever was written or told to you. So you identify the main points and connect these points to get the message. It is important to correctly interpret things so that you can get the right instructions, right deadlines and the right action items so that you can perform to be a good employee. That means you understand what is it that the manager was trying to say so that you can act correctly. How do you interpret something? First, you must read the context, meaning that means anything that is written depends on what's the situation or the context like. Like you can see what department is it that has issued a circular or notice that will give you some clues as to why this notice was issued. Then you must check the tone. For example, it may be an urgent tone. That means you must act quickly. Versus if the tone is not so urgent, you understand that this is for information but not something you have to perform right now. Third, you must look for keywords like must or required or optional. If something is optional, look at your bandwidth and how much work you have currently. Then you may or may not do a task versus if something is mandatory, you will have to perform it. Then you identify the key purpose. Is the document that you are reading trying to instruct you about something or trying to inform you about something, or who is sending the message? If it is an instruction, follow it, or if it's mere information, you will have to keep it in the back of your head while you're performing any task. So these things tell how quickly or urgently or how should you act accordingly. Do not make assumptions. Make sure you stick to what is mentioned, and if there's any doubt, clarify it from the sender. Do not make your own ideas. Ask yourself, do I understand what the writer of this message is expecting me to do? And lastly, you can cross-check it with other information as required to get the proper meaning. Here are some tips for interpreting documents correctly and building that skill. First, you must understand all background information before forming any conclusion, if they are supporting documents, etc., so as to understand the context. For example, a circular may be issued that everyone must come on time in meetings. So you understand that people have been coming late and maybe that is very urgent, that is why. So you must understand supporting context. Second, you must express your views clearly. You should be able to talk about what the text means in simple terms. Get in habit of forming your own opinions and expressing them. Third, you must learn common English and workplace terminology or the terms or words that are often used, as it will help you to understand instructions and reports faster and better. Like you may have certain proper jargon as per your industry which is often used in instruction emails. If you do not know what that means, you will never be able to perform properly. So understand the workplace terminology. Fourth, explore various reading material. Make a habit of reading newspapers, journals, online content, etc., as this exposes you to various forms of reading and therefore it allows you to properly learn things and get in the habit of proper reading comprehension. Fifth, use technology as support. Tools for grammar, spelling and translation support correct interpretation and writing. Make sure you use them for proper understanding. Sixth, be aware of cultural context. Certain words and expressions carry different meaning in different cultures, and in a workplace you may be working with people from different backgrounds. Keep that in mind when you are interpreting any communication from them. 7. Develop a habit of regular reading. Try to read emails, SOPs, policies, etc. often to improve your familiarity. And lastly, keep your skills updated. Language and workplace processes and terms change often. Make sure you are updated so that you can understand what you are reading correctly and perform that properly. In conclusion, we see that English skills help in providing easy and clear communication and allow for smooth sharing of ideas in a workplace that builds effective working and professionalism. Knowing grammar basics, having a strong reading ability and proper interpretation allows you to have no gaps in understandings and therefore perform your work much better. Good English skills at work build your credibility and professional image. But like all skills, it is developed with practice. So keep practicing and keep improving. Thank you.